Hi, hey, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to talk about my Ryobi saw, my little P506 with the laser line, Ryobi battery powered. Anyway, it's going to be my saw of choice to do plywood cutting around the shop. I have a 7 1/4. I have a couple other saws. I can do plywood on my table saw and on my chop saw. But there are times when if I want to break down big sheets, this is my go-to saw. Mostly because it's so light and easy in your hand. It makes it real easy to be able to manage your cut. And I have to tell you, the laser line, if I want to cut a straight line, if I draw a straight line and I turn on my laser, I can follow that line and I can get a pretty straight cut freehand now. I mean, very straight. So I've decided to turn this into my track saw setup. So I'm making a track for it, and I'll have that coming out here pretty soon. I'm working on that. So, but I got the other problem I have with this saw is to be a track saw, to be able to use it cutting up big sheets of plywood. The two things I'd like to see it do is I wanted to figure out how to get it to do plunge cutting so I can just plunge into my work, and dust collection. Dust collection is really important if you're going to do a lot of cutting. Now, because this is a 5.5-inch blade, it doesn't create quite as much dust as my 7 1/4 or a regular track saw might do. So it does, but it does create sawdust that I have to try to control if I can, at least some. So I've been racking my head just trying to decide what's the best way to get some kind of dust collection on this. And I don't want it to be bulky. I didn't want to modify it. I wanted it to be able to take it just like this and still use it if I want to use it freehand and cut something. I didn't want the dust collector to be obtrusive, and more importantly, I really wanted it to be able to be put on and off easily. So I know that's asking an awful lot, isn't it? So anyway, so this is what I came up with, was this simple design, this board. And it's got a corner here, a piece here, I got a magnet here and over here, so that what happens is when I put it on my saw, I can just take it and drop it right onto the plate, like so. And this magnet is now holding it in place. So now I can take my saw and I can plunge it down and it hits the stop. And now I have right at 1 1/16 inch. So I can cut up to a 1-inch piece of thick plywood with it. And that'll work fine. So now that it's at this position, and it stays there until I'm ready to use 2 hands to raise it back up. So now, as far as the dust collection, when it's in its down position, the suction is right here between the saw blade and this plate. That's where all the suction comes to. So anything up here, anything back here around the saw blade would tend to come back this way. As far as the other side of the blade, you can see the chamber area back in here really isn't all that big. So I think that this thing should be able to draw the sawdust fairly well. I haven't tested it yet. Like I said, I've been working on my logs, and so anytime it's been nice weather, that's what's been going on around here. But today it's kind of drizzly out there, so I had the door open still, so I haven't been able to get this up and put it on my panel saw to try a piece of plywood. And because it's drizzling out, I can't put a piece of plywood out there outside on my sawhorses and do it. So I'll get to it. Once I do, we'll go over how well it does and see. Honestly, I'm optimistic that it's going to work. I don't know why not. And I really like the features of it. It's really going to add a lot to my little saw at this point. And I'm very happy with the way this design came out. It's nice and simple. And I think it should give me at least an adequate dust collection on it. Stay tuned, we'll find out. So let's go over how I made this real quick, because there's a couple things about it when you look at it and think, well, that looks like that's going to probably break on you. So let's take it off. And that's the other thing. Once I put it in place with the magnets, and then I do my plunge cut, this thing, it won't come off. the saw holds it on there. So it does real well at staying on there once it's on. Now I did put the hose on here. I guess I should talk about that real quick. I had this about 10 feet long piece of hose here. I think it's off of a pool of some kind of hose for a pool. It's pretty flexible. So I made that from here. On the other end, I just made a quick adapter out of PVC pipe. And I'll change all this when I figure out what length I'm going to make it. But for now, I have this piece here so that I can put that on my vacuum hose, which most of the time I have this adapter on there, and rather than have the hassle to take it off, I just left this extra long, and that just slides down in there. But with or without that other piece, it just slips up on here. I heated it up and made it so that it slips up on there, and that's enough to hold it. And since I'm not dragging this part around, since this is so long, this will just lay down somewhere and not be used. And this is, while I'm using it, that'll stay there so there's no stress, so it's not going to pull apart at the connection. So I think I may actually like it to be a long hose like this. And when it's not in use, I can just roll the whole cord up and hang it up somewhere ready for use. So I think it'll be easy to store. Now as far as making it, I drilled this hole so that it was tight. And this is just in there on a compression fit, just going in the hole. I could hot glue it on there. I could put a reinforcing board back here, which eventually I might do. But because it's the prototype and I wasn't sure how long I'm even going to have this cord, I just set it this way. But it works great. So as far as holding on there, it's not going to come off. Now the thing about this piece is that I had the flat board that goes on the face here. And that's what this is, with the cutout for this guard piece. But once it's in place, everything is nice and sturdy. But the real problem I was worried about was this connection right here, because this is a pretty small piece that has to go here, and this height was critical. This is all the taller it could be. And so I wanted this piece to fit nicely against here and give me all the strength I could get, because obviously this is got to be one of the weakest joints there would ever be. So I half flapped it here. I recessed it so I get kind of a half flap type of strength out of it. I also put a glue block in here to help strengthen it a little bit with the extra space I still had, and still clear this. And then the last thing I did was I took those bamboo skewers, and I did a video on those, if you remember, where I was using those as dowels. And I took them, I took 1.5 inches long, I drilled a hole, 2 of them here into it. Sorry about that. So I drilled the 2 holes in here, and I put them in here, glued them in, 2 pieces of bamboo. Then I took a third one, and I went across this way at a 45 and came out over here, and I glued a piece of bamboo skewer in this way in there. And then cleaned it all up, and I have to tell you, that joint is actually very, very strong. So I was worried that could break there when it's just sitting around and not in use. But actually, it's pretty sturdy now. And also, when I put this glue block on here, which has the magnet for the base, when I put this one on here, being just a butt joint again, I put 2 more dowels in, 2 more skewers in here, one in going at opposing angles, so that you had a toenail effect from those 2 pieces of skewers. So that makes this joint a lot stronger, so I don't have to worry about it breaking off either, even though it's just a glue joint. So there's no metal in this either, which is one of the things I kind of wanted to do. The only metal in this is the magnet here and the magnet here, which is really not worried about it hitting the blade. And it just goes on and off so easily, which just makes it really nice. So, like I said, once it's on, it's on. I'm very happy with this design. I hope it works. I hope it collects the dust. I think it will. Well, let's find out. So I'll let you know as soon as I get a day where I'm either going to have the door down, or I'll be able to set my sawhorses up. I'll run a little bit of test and try to video that for you so we can take a look at it. So this part is now going to make a great panel saw, plywood saw, and have its own dust collection or anything if that's what I want to do. I think I'm going to like this saw, and I've taken something very simple and very inexpensive and have made it, I think, to be a really, when I'm done, it's going to be a really great track saw. And a heck of a lot less money than what those ones that you're paying for them. So, anyway, I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any ideas or suggestions about what I did here and how to make it a little better, I'm always open to it. So, if you like this video or you learned something here, hit that like button. It helps me know I'm going the right way. Most importantly, though, come back again because I'm nowhere near done. We'll see you again very soon. Bye.